Hey, welcome back to the Self-Betterment Project. I'm your host, this is Ad. We are continuing on with Season 1. Welcome to Episode 3. In this episode, we talk primarily about habit formation, about adaptation, and leading up to optimal living. What's the point of living if you're not living effectively? By the end of this podcast, you will become superhuman or money back guarantee. You can listen to this podcast anywhere at any time, from Spotify to Apple Music. If you want to support the podcast, head on over to patreon.com/thisisad. Besides that, grab a cup of coffee and enjoy the podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the project. Oh, damn it, I forgot my coffee. But don't worry, as long as you guys have your coffee, I'm happy. I did get an ice cap, so take that for what you will. Regardless though, welcome back to a new episode 3 of the Self-Betterment Project. Now, what are we continuing on this time? Well, in Season 1, we're still talking about habits. This month, we're talking about the philosophy of habits. And in this episode, we're going to talk about how a lot of people have different adaptations through their lifestyle and how this can affect habits and how habits affect other adaptations. This is why some people stay up late at night, and this is why some people wake up early in the morning. And from there, you start learning on how to live optimally in your life. Because it's not just enough to survive, you have to live optimally. How do you get the best bang for your buck? Long story short, basically being effective and efficient in society. Because again, we're not here trying to be mediocre. We are trying to better ourselves. It wouldn't be the Self-Betterment Project if I just told you, hey, you're alive, great. Just keep doing what you're doing. No. If you want to be better, you got to be optimal. You got to be up at your game. You got to be right up there trying to optimize and trying to be effective every day of the week. So, let's start off fairly simple. Let's slow down this podcast just a little bit. Let's bring the mic closer to my face. Yes. Now I did get a newer mic, and as such, there's going to be a little differences and a little nuances with the audio, but I hope you bear with me. But let's slow down this podcast a little bit, okay? So when we talked about habits last episode, or the 2 episodes ago, you've seen Sai on the podcast. If you haven't, definitely go check out the last episode. But there we talk a lot about the different kinds of habits, the hustle mentality, and there's a whole range of things you could talk about. At the end of the day, though, why are we going to build habits in the first place? Well, that's simple. Because you want to get something, and because of that, you got to build a habit.
What?
And as such... Oh, thank you. Okay, I got my coffee. We're back in business, you guys. Beautiful coffee. Oh, that's actually good coffee, man.
It's a family secret.
It's a family secret? This coffee's a family secret? Oh, yeah. You just didn't use the Keurig or anything like that in the coffee making machine. Okay. But anyway, besides the coffee, let's continue. So, basically, I've seen a lot of people go back and forth on habits, and when they want to build a habit, what's a good habit, what's a bad habit, right? We've all been there. We're a little confused. Well, here's the thing that complicates habit building or cutting out habits a little bit more. It's called adaptation. Now, not every adaptation is a good adaptation, and we'll learn about that in a little while later. But the thing is, there's a lot of people who have adapted to different things. And so now you can't universally say some habits are better than the other because people run differently. Their schedules are different. Maybe your schedule is different. Maybe you're trying to do something else that requires you to be a little different. And different things will ultimately change you to act and behave differently. Your body and mind will start adapting differently. The example I always use is the one with waking up early, or sleeping late. Now that's something I've always been battling, and that's something I always even wondered if I should be an early bird or a night owl. Because as a creative individual, I get all my best ideas at night. But at the same time, I want to wake up early. And because a lot of successful people or anywhere you go, everybody's telling you, hey, wake up early. We wake up at 5 in the morning. We get everything done before 9 a.m.
You should be a duck.
You should, what? See, even then, successful people, you should be a duck. And like, I didn't even know where to go. Okay. Long story short, I didn't know where to go. And for a while, I did try a little bit of both. And what I've noticed is that throughout my life, I had periods of being a night owl, and there was a time where I was a morning person. What I did notice, though, is that this shift happened due to the fact that my life had changed. Perhaps you've gone through a traumatic episode, which is a really rough way to just say you've changed, or you just had to change because maybe you went into university. Point is, I've been on both sides of the spectrum. So when I was confronted with wanting to be more optimal, when I wanted to be more productive, when I wanted to be more successful, the question came up, which was that do I wake up earlier, do I stay up late? Rather, why would I want to wake up earlier versus stay up late? Is one of them good or is one of them bad, right? And it's been a very tough couple months that I've been battling front and back with this. Because in one side, my body's adapted to staying up later, and that's when I get all my great, amazing ideas. But at the same time, I also know that if you wake up earlier, if you get your work done in the morning, if you have a solid morning routine, there's a lot of other benefits too. I've experienced both. So what really determines a good habit from a bad one? What really determines anything to be good or bad? Well, we have to take into account and consideration of adaptation. And technically speaking, now I don't want to give out the notion that I'm saying mediocrity is fine, okay? I'm not saying mediocrity is fine. Just because you have adapted to something, I'm not saying that's great because you've adapted to it, right? But let's slow down and let's just assume for a moment that you've adapted to one or the other because of whatever, because of something that changed in your life. Now, the question is, if I've adapted to it, if my mind and body is working well with this certain time frame, say at night you're really proactive and you're productive, maybe it helps you get work done. Why should you wake up in the morning? Just because some other billionaire did it? Just because Bill Gates? Just because Isaac Newton did it? Is that a good reason? And when you look at reasons, you have to then remember what we talked about in the podcast a couple episodes ago. In order to understand habits, the philosophy of habits, or what have you, what determines a good habit from a bad one is simply this. It's your objective. It's your goal. It's your destination. What are you trying to achieve? And from that, we can break it down into how habits play a part, because that's the entire season. So when it comes to being adapted to certain things, the only way you can actually identify whether it's a good habit or a bad one, do I have to wake up earlier? Do I stay up? Or which one's the good or bad? I'm not, objectively speaking, staying up late isn't a bad thing. Objectively speaking, waking up 6 in the morning isn't a bad thing. What makes something good or bad is determined by your goal, is determined by your objective. So people have adapted, and objective, universally true habits kinda are complicated when you start talking about adaptation. So the way we combat this is by talking about your goal. So what does having a goal or a strategic target have to do with habits and whether to know how to change a habit, or even if you should? Well, that comes down to optimal living. You have a goal and you have to live optimally. You have to be effective, right? You can't just say, I'm going to be mediocre in achieving my goals. In order to live optimally, you have to know what goal you're chasing and which habit is the best one to reach that goal. Maybe your habit, I'm just going to use me for an example. Say you want to be a better YouTuber. Maybe you want to make more podcasts happen. Maybe you want to be more productive. So that's my side commentary over there. You know, I can't talk smack about you. You made me some nice coffee, so What secret formula are you using?
Come.
You can't say that on here.
Beep it out.
So anyway, basically, if you want to be a successful YouTuber, you got to be really hardworking, really proactive. On top of just working hard and just making work happen, you also have to be creative. You have to know when your brain's active and when you come up with ideas. Even to this day, a lot of my best ideas come up at nighttime before I go to bed. But in the morning, I still get my work done. So knowing a goal, you also have to then, research a little bit. You want to know how to properly get work done. I'm not saying staying up late or staying up early. I'm not saying staying up late or waking up early. They're both either good or bad. Maybe they're both good, but which one is the better option? Does that make sense? Am I making sense? Am I making sense?
I wasn't even listening.
Okay, so I'm making sense. And that's why you have to live optimally. Don't settle for mediocrity. That's what I have to say. Just don't settle for getting a 50% in life and just being like, I sleep, I wake up, I'm alive, so life's good, right? No, life's not good. You have to be effective. You have to be efficient. You have to live optimally. Now, I know a lot of people have different views on this. A lot of people don't even want self-betterment or, just self-manifestation. A lot of people may not even have goals. But if you have a goal, then now in order to live optimally, you need to have a goal. And yeah, at times you can adapt to certain habits. It's not that objectively one habit is bad and one habit is good. It depends on the goal. Throughout years, throughout seasons, throughout your objectives, exam season comes along, maybe you're in school, maybe your ambition is somewhere else, maybe something happens. Life will always keep changing, and you should always be okay with accepting the change, and your goals will change for a little while, and because of that, you have to readapt, readjust, and then be effective and optimal in those regards. This is how you always consistently stay up to date and stay effective throughout your life with habits. Because as we all know, if you want to be successful or just be good and not just mediocre, you just gotta have the habits, and the work does it itself. That's basically it. The work does it itself. Understand? Am I making sense? Are you being enlightened by my words?
My baby is making enlightening.
I don't even know why you're on this. I don't even know why you're in this room. Oh my god. Talking about self-betterment here. Yo, I'm fucking vaping, bro. It's lit. No.
A class.
A class. Very nice. Or you could vape and forget about your problems. I'm not encouraging that. I'm not encouraging vaping. But did you know you know that their news came out where people are dying because of vaping now?
Because they do 2 types of vape. I did my research, buddy.
Oh. I can respect research, I guess. But, people still dying. I'm just saying.
Their fault.
Their fault. Yes, their fault.
It's their decision to vape like that. So. Soon as that news came up, I researched a little bit, like what kind of vape are there and shit.
So there's different kind of vapes?
The juice inside, the oil inside is like different. 2 types of different. So one's like mainstream, another one's like Saltnik. Saltnik's like refreshing, the one I have all the time.
Okay.
So it's Saltnik. It's like a minty taste, but it's good. Like,
but this one's not going to kill you.
Vitamin E. There's a vitamin
They have
E.
vitamin E in there?
Yeah, which is like toxic. The mainstream ones, which is like toxic. You're supposed to like ingest it, but like if you vape it or smoke it, it's toxic.
Okay.
So this one doesn't have that, so I'm safe.
Okay.
Although I feel like my kidney's failing.
No, but that's not for the vape though.
No.
That's for something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, he's just having kidney problems. But regardless, see, this is what I'm saying. Maybe you've adapted and you've adjusted to the toxic vape. That's what I'm saying. This whole thing is about habits and adjustment. Do you think you're living optimally with that vape?
Yeah.
Well, alright, I guess I've done my job here. Regardless though, remember to live optimally and don't ever settle for mediocrity. there's a good thing of being adapted, and yes, everybody will tell you do this habit or maybe do that habit. Maybe you want to do this habit or that one. Maybe a lot of other people tell you to this is better or that's not better. Yes, some things are objectively true, like always drink more water or, get your proper amount of sleep. But a lot of habits come down to your goal in life or whatever your goal is for that month or that half a year or that whole year. Who knows? But you have to know your goal, break it down into habits, and then know which habit is more effective at obtaining your goal and taking care of recovery, things like that. And ultimately, this will allow you to live optimally, effectively, and make the most bang for your buck. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's podcast. Again,
it's not the end.
It's not the end.
I got something to say.
Sure, come in.
But
no, come in.
No. You're not gonna show my face. You're gonna black it out when I say it.
Okay, yeah. Hold up. Okay, yeah. Let me tell you when you're not in frame. Hold on. This is frame. This is frame. If you're good up to my hand.
Look in the camera and do some poses or some shit. I don't know.
Okay, cool.
So basically, we made it. His podcast made it to US, which some of my friends watch.
The podcast?
Yes, and they watch during school time, which is boring, which entertains them.
Making a difference in the world.
No, not really.
Making a difference in the
control still out there, bro. Oh. Plus, it's US. You need to provide bulletproof vest.
Remember to wear your bulletproof. I hate how some schools are actually designing schools to be harder for shooters to shoot people down. Yeah, go on.
And basically, he did a good job. And my friend said he constantly her friends constantly watch him and entertained by his brown face. Now referencing Justin Trudeau.
Oh yeah, Justin Trudeau, my boy.
And breaking news on the news: 6ix9ine about to get shot, and his ass he's gonna get teared down, bro.
When did this become a news segment? Damn, hold up.
There's a lot of stuff going on right now. Should we do a news section?
And I want to make a video after this about the news. That's what I told you.
All right, we're gonna do it. Now, cut it. End this video. All right, guys, take care. This is Ad. Bye.
That's how we are ending this podcast. I hope you guys come back for the next one. Remember to support the project, the podcast, me, the channel, and everything else on Patreon. Patreon.com/thisisad.
Buy the merch.
Buy the merch. We don't have any, but if you want to buy the merch, hit up your boy.
Donate on Patreon.
Subscribe and follow us on Spotify, Apple Music. You can find this podcast anywhere at any time. That was my time. I hope you guys are having a good day. I hope all of my US-based listeners are having a great time. And as much as I do enjoy you guys listening in on my podcast during school or watching my videos during school and class time, I hope you realize you still have to, study and pay attention in class.
That's boring.
You gotta pay attention in class.
No, you don't.
So anyway, see you guys on the next one. Peace.
You don't pay attention to class, seriously.
And that's a wrap. That's a wrap.